Honestly, I almost didn't make this video. I sat at my desk, staring at the blinking cursor, trying to find the right words. Some stories weigh so much sadness, raw grief, that you wonder if talking about them is even possible. But I kept coming back to the same thought. These people deserve to be remembered, not hidden away. Their lives, their art, all the moments they carved into our hearts. They deserve to be spoken about aloud, not in whispers. So here we are. And listen, if you start tearing up as you watch this, you're definitely not alone. I'm already ahead of you, I cried while writing it, more than once. On Sunday night, during the 98th Academy Awards, Hollywood didn't pause for pretty dresses or silly drama. It stopped for collective heartbreak. There's always an in memoriam segment. Usually, everyone expects it, maybe braces themselves a little. But this year, somehow, it felt heavier, longer, almost relentless. The theater filled with a kind of silence you rarely hear, broken only by the voices of people saying farewell, and the ones standing on stage. You could just feel how much love and loss lived in those moments. They reminded us all over again why movies matter so much. They connect us because they're made by people who lived and loved. So, let's really talk about it. Let's sit with the tough stuff. The night opened with Billy Crystal stepping onto the stage. If you've been around any length of time, you know Billy's power. He can get you laughing and then hit you right in the heart, all in one breath. But this wasn't just any speech. It was about his old friend, Rob Reiner. Rob was the kind of person whose presence filled rooms and screens, but tragedy, brutal and unfair, changed everything. Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner, who'd managed to stay married for almost 37 years, a real feat in Hollywood, were found dead in their home last December. It was shocking, impossible to make sense of. The younger son, Nick, has been charged with their murders and is pleading not guilty. I don't want to dwell on those awful details. It's not what Rob's legacy deserves, but you need to feel the weight, the way it pressed on everyone at the Dolby Theater, especially Billy, as he stood under those lights and tried to offer the kind of tribute that Rob would have loved. And Billy? He pulled it off. Somehow, he honored his friend with laughter and stories, letting the love show through the sorrow. He talked about the work, the movies Rob made, and how they shaped us. If you're a woman, or anyone, honestly, who grew up through a certain era, Rob Reiner's films aren't just films. They're part of your emotional history. Stand By Me cracked open our hearts and made us want to call our childhood friends. The Princess Bride, what even is that? It's bigger than movies. It's a shared language, practically a ritual. When Harry Met Sally pushed everyone into debating friendships and romance for years after. Then there's Misery, A Few Good Men. This is Spinal Tap. Each of them stitched itself into the culture, into people's memories. Rob built a filmography that felt like an album of greatest hits, except instead of songs, it's scenes and lines that shaped who we are. Billy looked out over the whole room and said Rob's movies would last far beyond our lifetimes. They didn't just entertain, they showed us what it meant to be human, to laugh, to aspire, to be kind, to stumble, to hope. Billy remembered how Rob often told him how much it meant that his stories mattered to people, that they helped folks, made them feel seen. I think that resonates with all of us. Everyone's got a Rob Reiner movie tucked away somewhere, a film that found you at the right moment, spoke to you about something you needed to hear. His work wasn't just about Hollywood. It was about us. When Crystal finished speaking, the air in the room shifted. Suddenly, over a dozen actors stepped onto the stage, every one of them from Rob Reiner's films, all dressed in black. You look up, and there's Meg Ryan, right next to Kathy Bates. And then there's Demi Moore, Kiefer Sutherland, Mandy Patinkin, Carrie Elwes, our Forever Westley from The Princess Bride. Just older now, but unmistakably him. Annette Bening joined, John Cusack, Will Wheaton, Fred Savage, the whole constellation gathered together in solemn silence. The moment felt heavy, almost sacred. Then Billy Crystal closed his tribute with that line straight out of The Princess Bride. Buddy, what fun we had storming the castle. If you've loved that movie like I have, you can feel how it hit. Sudden and sharp. The whole room seemed to hold its breath. I'm not ashamed to say I did too. I needed a second after that, honestly. Then Rachel McAdams walked forward. Tears threatened, but she pressed on, there to honor the women. And what a lineup! She started with Diane Ladd. Then she spoke of Catherine O'Hara, a woman who shaped so much of what we laugh at, from Home Alone to Schitt's Creek. When Rachel talked about Diane Keaton, her voice nearly gave out. She said every actress her age, every single one found inspiration in Keaton's uniqueness. All those hats: actor, artist, author, activist. Yet, above everything, Diane prized being a mother. You could hear in Rachel's voice how much Diane meant to all of them, to all of us. Diane wasn't just an actress, she was a mood, a style, a full-on vibe. The beret, the turtleneck, her laugh, the way she made you believe that being awkward was fine, maybe even something special. It's going to hurt not having her around. And then, right when you thought they'd hit the emotional peak, Barbra Streisand stepped onto the stage. Let's be clear, Barbra hadn't sung live at the Oscars for 13 years, so when she appeared, people just lost it. She was there to say goodbye to Robert Redford, her old friend, and The Way We Were co-star. If, by the way, you haven't seen The Way We Were, I'm begging you, go fix that. Redford died last September at 82. Barbra called him her intellectual cowboy, a man who never stayed on the trail if he could blaze a new one. She smiled, telling how he always called her Babs, and how she'd protest. Bob, do I look like a Babs to you? The room laughed with her, because that's the thing about missing someone. Memories sneak in, bringing smiles even when your heart aches. She said he once called her and simply told her he loved her, always would. The last note she sent him? She signed it Babs. Sometimes love is just that silly and simple. And then she sang, just a few bars from The Way We Were, that unmistakable voice, filling the theater at 83, richer for every one of those years. I dare you, truly, to say you didn't feel something. Let's talk about Robert Redford. If all you remember is that sunlit, golden-haired heartthrob from 1,000 movie posters, and, to be fair, he really was that handsome, you're only seeing part of the story. He led in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, Barefoot in the Park, The Way We Were, Out of Africa, All the President's Men. Box office gold, yes, but so much more. He was just one of those people, one of those facts, like the world turns or water is wet. Robert Redford was beautiful. But what really mattered? He didn't just ride on his looks or fame. He built the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival, way before indie movies were trendy or guaranteed to make money. He believed those quiet, risk-taking stories deserved an audience. He threw open doors for dreamers and storytellers who didn't have a prayer otherwise. That's a legacy that actually changes things. And Redford? The man tried his hand at directing once, just once, in 1980, with Ordinary People, and won the Oscar for Best Picture and Best Director. First attempt. There's genius, and then there's just making everyone else look bad. But there it is. The In Memoriam segment this year was long. Too long, if you ask me. They honored David Lynch, Val Kilmer, Robert Duvall, Graham Greene, Claudia Cardinal, Diane Ladd. It went on because the losses kept coming. When a room full of people are brought together by their love for the same faces, the same stories, grief sort of hums between them. You could feel it. But here's what sticks with me, the part I keep replaying. None of it was about red carpets or little gold statues. It was about the people. Billy Crystal standing up there, laying his heart bare for a friend. Rachel McAdams, not letting her tears stop her. Barbra Streisand, 83, and brave enough to step into that enormous room and sing goodbye to her friend after 5 decades. That takes guts. That's what matters. Showing up, feelings and all, with millions watching. In a way, that's the magic of movies, isn't it? It's not the spectacle. It's about seeing and being seen. Letting a story get in under your defenses and make you feel something real. Maybe something you don't let yourself feel most other days. Rob Reiner understood that. Robert Redford did too. Diane Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, they all did. They made space for us to be ourselves, to care, to laugh, to grieve. They gave us stories that reached into those quieter parts of who we are. So if there's a Rob Reiner film gathering dust, cue it up this weekend. Never seen the way we were? Today's your day. And if there's someone you love that you haven't called because life keeps sliding by, maybe this is the time. Reach out, don't wait. That's what the people we lose would truly want, for us to reach a little further, to stay close while we can. Look out for each other, seriously. And as always, thank you for being here.